get into it.
Yeah, my next claim is that trans women are not women.
Oh shit, here we go. Now it's lit. All right, boyos. Now it's coming. This one is gonna be great. We just crossed 1,000 live viewers again. All right.
Okay. What's your name?
Sam.
Nice to meet you. Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me, what is a woman?
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like
Wow. Okay. He already off the bat.
saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition of
No,
how...
it's not. A table is an object.
Well,
A table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but
you
right
said-
now I'm a man, right? So if that happened right now, I'd be a woman.
Thing is.
Once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman,
Got it. No,
they're a woman.
that's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what...
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
But you have how do you know that they are that thing?
How do I don't need to know what they are. I can ask them if I want.
All right, by his logic, then you know what? Fuck it. I've always wanted to be a lion. So guys, I'm a fucking lion. I identify as a fucking lion, chat. All right? Matter of fact, since I identify as a lion, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I'm identifying as a fucking lion. All right? I'm a fucking lion, chat. I am a lion. All right? Lion gains. According to this guy, I'm a fucking lion.
No.
But there needs to be, you need to tell me what that thing is, though.
Somebody who... Okay, sorry, we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere.
No, it's important because it's like saying a giraffe is a thing that looks like a giraffe, or a coyote is a thing that looks like a coyote. It's called circular reasoning. You have to give me a actual definition.
I don't have to... I did give you a definition.
No, you said that a woman is something that thinks they're a woman. That doesn't give me a definition. That's simply...
What would you consider a definition then?
An adult female with XX
No,
chromosomes.
I mean, like, what makes that a definition?
Hello.
Hi.
Juliana?
Juliana,
I remember,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that you can define a woman just by her chromosomes. Women are so much more than that. They come in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors. And I don't necessarily think that you can count out somebody who's trans just because they don't have a certain set of chromosomes. There are also people who are born, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Intersex?
Yes,
so XXY
yes.
or YYX?
Or just, or like X0 with nothing.
So natural mutations upon the binary, essentially, right?
Yes. So,
but they don't have both sex organs that both operate, right?
Yeah, but that also I don't think necessarily works, right? Because if it's X,
One
just
is more
X,
dominant
and
than
there's
the
a...
other. So
Okay,
you're either
that's-
more male or more female, right? So you might have both a penis and a vagina, but there's never been a case of someone who can impregnate themselves.
Okay. I also don't necessarily think that works for this situation, but I also want to say that one of my best friends is trans, and I would say that she's more of a woman than I am. I think that women define themselves by multiple things, not just their sex organs. If somebody asked me who I was as a woman, I would not say I have a vagina.
Totally fair. No, I think you said something smart. So you said that person is more of a woman than you are. Therefore, you're grading off a definition of something accomplishes womanhood. What is that?
I think it's, well, that's the thing too, and I do think that gets a little complicated, right? Because there are social norms for a gender, but I do think we try to break that, right?
No, for sure, but you said that specific friend is more of a woman than you are. Why?
I think she's a better person than me. I think she
so
lives
women are
life.
better people?
She's a better woman than I am. I'm not saying women are better people.
But what makes a woman? Because you said she's more of a woman than you are. So I want to know what that definition is.
Right, okay. I'm gonna let somebody else go.
Yeah, take the L. Take the fucking L. Had her on the ropes. Absolutely fucking cooked. Let's go, baby.
Wrong.
Let's go. That was so wrong.
Thank you.
Perfect example of liberals trying to fucking, be virtue signal and taking L's.
Okay. All right, Parker, what is a woman?
A woman is an adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex. Now, define a man. Define a man.
You're looking at one. XY chromosomes and a.
Okay, but does God the Father have XY chromosomes prior to incarnation?
We literally have a religious topic
He's a father and he's him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait, so a man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't have XY chromosomes, yet he's still a man, he still uses preferred pronouns?
It's actually very interesting. In the original Hebrew, Adonai, do you know what Adonai is? It's the Hebrew word for God. It's actually genderless, but in the scriptures, they use he, right? And they use the masculine. Jesus Christ came to earth as a man, not as a woman, not as genderqueer. But let's go back to the...
But God the Father's a man, right?
Well,
because all fathers are men.
Well, first of all, there's a Trinity. So God the Father is neither man
Mousy, subscribe. Shout out to you. Now they're going to get into the whole Christianity thing with the Trinity. Here we go.
or woman. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He is all being on top
So
of
why
it.
do you use he?
Well, I did not. The scriptures do. You could use woman. You could say her. You could use him. But the way that the language is structured, again, it is so God the Father is so above gender. It is so above any of our understanding.
And why use
with
him?
Glory and understanding. Again, because you have to make a choice, either he or him or her in the original scriptures. Let's go back to. I'm happy
Some
to get
fathers
into that,
aren't men and boys.
So
So some fathers
I'm
are not men and boys. Not men or boys.
I'm sorry.
Some fathers are not male.
No, of course they are. I'm not.
Wait, so God the
Wait, what?
Father's a male?
Hold on. God the Father. So where do we get God the Father from? What Greek word?
From your scripture.
Well, from Abba, right, which is a very close personal term.
You're not answering my
right?
questions and you bring up random language that doesn't matter.
Well, it actually does.
No,
okay?
it doesn't.
But let me get down to the root of it,
Because he's not a man. You know he's not a man under your worldview. You still use his preferred pronouns. You still call him a man.
Christ is a
but you
man.
don't do that with trans people because you're transphobic. That's why.
Okay, got it. But Christ is a man. I'm happy to get into the sexuality and
Before
gender.
incarnation.
I love how immediately goes into the insult, the pejorative term being transphobic.
He's
Of
not.
the Trinity, okay?
Before incarnation,
Okay.
there's no penis, there's no XY chromosomes, there's no small
hold on a
gametes.
second. Let's think about it. If that's correct, how is it then Jacob saw the face of God?
Okay, so if there's
Hold on. If there was not before the incarnation, how did Jacob see the face of God? How did Jacob wrestle with
Characters
God?
can have faces without biology.
How did Jacob wrestle with God?
so okay, do you think that he has a body?
Well,
Or was that a figurative notion of wrestle?
That's a mystery of the scriptures. I'm not here. Well, it is. I'm not here to debate theology. Can we go back to
So
what we're
wait,
talking
does he
about
actually have biology? You keep trying to pivot because you know this debunks you.
Well, it doesn't-
what biology
it
does your
doesn't-
God have?
Well, the one of Christ our Lord.
No, I meant
right?
before incarnation.
Well, to be honest, I don't quite know, and I
You
don't think
know?
the scriptures.
So you
are
don't know what a
little-
man is?
Well,
You can't define what a man is?
It's a little opaque. Again, you're looking at a man.
But your video,
God-
the largest video on TikTok is what
I love how he brings it to the religious point.
is a woman, 20 million views.
Because we're talking about human beings. We're not referring to God, my friend.
You don't know what a
Yes.
man is in your own
Well,
worldview?
I said you're looking at a man, right?
Wait, but
Am I
God the
looking at a
Father
man?
doesn't meet that criteria.
Am I looking
Yes,
at a man?
you are.
Okay, good. Just
A
making
man
sure.
that's beating you in a debate right
okay,
now.
that's fine. So let me ask you a question, though. So do you think that anybody
Pivot.
can become a woman?
I think that anyone
Yeah, I love how he deflected and tried to say, well, you use him when you refer to God. What's his gender? Bro, when you use the term him, it is a placeholder term when you're referring to a divine being like God, right? It's a placeholder term, essentially. So we're talking about human beings, bro. The fact that this guy went ahead and tried to fucking deflect and bring in the Lord as well, let's go ahead and question his gender. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here, man.
who meets my criteria is a woman.
What's your criteria?
Again, adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex.
Can society
So he's saying that gender is a cultural thing and
ever be wrong?
and not biological, which is fucking crazy.
Sure, but like it's a desire to be in accordance with a set of social and cultural norms.
Can I
It's not
become black if I
society's
wear
right.
blackface?
No, because it's not a desire that you have to be in accordance
I
with a
don't.
particular set of
What
social
if
and
somebody
cultural
wants
norms.
to be black?
Because race is defined phenotypically based upon the expression to other people.
But by some standard, you're judging that.
Do you think there's a phenotypical expression of someone who's white and someone who's black? Like I see you're white because of your phenotypical expression.
Right. So, but do you think? But Rachel Dolezal that said she is black and culturally black, is she black?
Does she have phenotypically characteristics we would associate
Define
with people who are
phenotypical. I'm not sure what that word.
black?
So-
It's going to be the expression.
So
of a
melanin
particular
content in one's
characteristics.
skin?
Yes.
Okay. So she could pass as a black person.
Wait, so she doesn't have the melanin content?
She's borderline.
No.
Heavily.
Okay, so then she's not black.
Okay. So you're able to say who is black and not black?
That's how we define it in society. No.
Okay, got it. So, but is there an objective definition of who is black?
Wait, language is all subjective. Linguistics professionals indicate it's subjective.
Language is all subjective.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Every
really?
word you just used was created by other human beings that are engaging in conversation.
it. No,
you
now
might
we're-
think it's created by God, but even then it's still
Got
subjective.
it. But
because it came
now
from
we're
God.
getting somewhere.
God's a
So
subject.
now we're getting somewhere. Is the word?
This guy's crazy, dude. He just said words are subjective. Not really, my friend. They're pretty objective. That's why we have a fucking dictionary. The fact that we have a dictionary means that word have objective meanings to them, not to be confused with using terms colloquially, right? So, or if I pronounce that correctly, this term right here, right? Right? So, and this is one of the exceptions, right? Colloquial, whatever the fuck it's pronounced, but use an ordinary or familiar conversation, not formal or literary. So, but in general, most words are fairly objective in use, right? So, for example, if we say 304, we know that means a certain type of female, right? That it's colloquially used or let me hold on.
Colloquial.
Oh, colloquial. Okay, I did say it correctly. So, but in general, outside of like colloquial terms, English is pretty fucking objective, dude.
and the value behind murder.
Our terms are pretty objective.
Objective or subjective?
Well, I think morality is subjective, but you think it's subjective too because it comes from God.
That's interesting.
Wait, does it come from God or independent of God?
Well, no, of course it comes from God. It's transcendent.
That's subjective.
Beings.
That's subjective. Yes, it is. No. If it comes from God, it's specifically subjective. If it comes independent of God, then it's objective. No, what you just told me is also compatible with moral anti-realism.
So let's go back to the Ten Commandments.
You don't understand metaethics.
Well, hold on a second.
What does subjective morality mean? What does it mean?
Subjective morality means that it comes in everybody's own opinion, their own form, not
dependent upon a stance. Again, God is a stance, and that's the truth of morality.
So if let's believe. Do you believe in the? If everybody believed in the concept of God, the transcendent God, that there was a 10 Commandments and we should live by them, right? Is that objective morality?
No. Just because people agree doesn't make it objective.
Then what,
again, independent of a stance.
What is
agreeance is not independent of a stance.
What is objective morality then?
This guy's a pain in the ass.
Sorry, thanks. We'll be back at it next time.
Mason,
how are you? Nice to meet you. Okay.
So I think it's a little scummy that you're pladragizing the whole Matt Walsh thing. Like your thing is the worship.
Oh wow! It's immediately with the personal attacks. It's scummy. You're copying Matt Walsh. Oh, bro.
Of Israel.
I
like
pay
that.
him royalties.
Okay, for sure. Well, do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
I don't think gender exists. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personalities.
Okay. Well, if we're talking about sex, which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're already incorrect. Like sex is not binary; it's bimodal. So if we look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already talked about intersex.
Right. However, with intersex though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on, but
we're talking about an entire spectrum.
Which sex
you're by definition
dominant,
defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. Like XXY.
Charlie,
for example,
you're trying to create this own box and then use any examples that are outside of that box
you brought up
to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
What sex organs? Which one is more dominant?
When in doubt, check early life.
What do you mean?
In an
All your questions will be answered.
XXY situation.
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX. One of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
Okay.
Do you understand how the conversation?
So we're moving off of sex because you're ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it.
Okay.
You want to keep going into it?
We can if you'd like.
Okay, so besides male and female, what categories exist?
We have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
Somewhat of an understanding.
Okay, well, so you can be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you. But it's actually a bimodal distribution.
Just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
Got it. So
of course, look at this guy being a fucking see, and that's the thing with a lot of these like flaming liberals. They don't want to have a good discussion, guys. They just want to go ahead and try to like insult you and be like, I'm educated, I'm an academic. That's why dealing with these guys are such a pain in the ass.
Women are not women. Do you agree with that?
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which seems like you want to do. What type of
yeah, because biology is biology, bro.
Genitals would you say I have since
I don't
you're
know.
so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your trillions of cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think that you are a man, but you can fool me. You can take hormones, you can play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing, though.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
Yeah. So
like if we were at a restaurant, right?
I'm sitting. Yeah, but sex is not a social construct, and that's where you guys fuck up every single time, right? This is okay, guys. This is one of the quintessential differences between the left and the right. The left likes to make things socially acceptable, right? And subjective versus people that tend to lean more on the right accept reality for what it is and they're fairly objective in their analysis of things. For example, something like sex is fairly objective because like you said before, you could take a blood sample, you could look at the chromosomes, etc. It doesn't lie. It puts you as a male, right? But these guys want to go ahead and say, oh no, but society and culture dictates the gender. And why did they do that? Because it allows them to be more inclusive of individuals that have a
you're a man.
And I'm sitting down at the table and you're telling the waiter, hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah. Well, so I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you correct yourself, right?
Maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that, do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
So you could,
yes,
you could act
that's
it.
what gender is.
Okay, great.
And they're trying to say that gender is a social construct when it is not. It is a biological construct that is indisputable and objective. That is the main difference between people that lean right versus people that lean left. The people that lean left think that society dictates reality and how we feel, versus people on the right typically look at things objectively of what it is. How you feel and how you perceive it from a social perspective is not the same as what it is and what it stands to be, regardless of society. And fucking credible.
Got it. So it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. These are social. These are social
womanhood
categories.
can be appropriated.
No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years, you'll see a difference. When it comes to those
like,
types
for
of
example, the Mayans had plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay,
so,
we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law and due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that you're
defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's
okay.
fine.
I think the Mayans would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional arguments.
Yeah, let's go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, overkilling and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the child sacrifice?
And this is the condescending tone that why I'm trying to match it is because
you mean all the child sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top of temples? Great civilization.
Do you want to go back in the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the child marriage, and we can talk about the justification.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't though, because at the beginning of Genesis.
So God just said like, nah, just kidding, dog. Don't actually.
Here we go.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove
Abraham.
obedience. Yes,
yeah, that's right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least? Can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay.
That
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, you're doing it's fine. But like, did you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on the extreme.
I don't see how it would get out of control, because
even in sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront.
And there's a reason for that, because your subjectivity and your social constructs of what a man and a woman is does not adhere to reality. So you must separate the fucking genders when it comes to competition from a physicality standpoint, because men and women are fucking different.
People who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans.
What? What?
If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was
and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates. So endocrinology is different.
Jay, 2 times a major hill subscribe. Shout out to you guys.
You'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that. You can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of cis men are. You
got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know. Ronda Rousey could kick my ass. I will say that.
No, for sure. But I mean, but
that's because you're.
Could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the
fuck no
peaks, right?
No,
the
she's
peaks
at the peak
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of 2 different categories in the same sort of.
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
Well, she's a cis woman, and
correct, a cis man.
But yes, and he could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels. If you want to change the hormones, we can change the categorization. But you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most fair category. Then we have to allow all women and all men.
But again, those things don't. So I just want to be clear. So because I think I'm tracking your argument, is that in the University of Pennsylvania swim team, when Thomas swam against biological women, you're perfectly fine with that.
I think as long as we have the categories that way.
Thanks.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. I want to get him in. He hasn't debated yet. No, you're fine. You're fine. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Preeti. Nice to meet you.
Brittany, nice to meet you. Go ahead.
Preeti.
Preeti,
P-R-E-E-T.
I'm sorry.
You're totally good. Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to go back to a little earlier. You said that Parker has lower T than you. So would you say?
A joke.
Yeah. No. I'm fully aware it's a joke. But I guess like on that point, do you think that like T has to do or testosterone has to do with your manhood?
No.
Like
well, yes and no. I mean, if you are looking at typical testosterone estrogen rates of women, they are far different than those of men. But for example, like your testosterone rate goes down when you have children. For example, when you're a man, that doesn't make you less of a man. They go down by 400 points.
Okay, but like when we were talking earlier about like sports, right? Mm-hmm. And you were saying that the reason why it's unfair for like for example, a trans woman who used to be a man to be like competing in women's sports, you cited that they have higher testosterone levels.
One of about 50 characteristics. Also lung density, men's hearts are bigger.
Okay.
We have greater bone density, muscle mass.
Or better, a bunch of other stuff too. But hey, who's counting?
Okay,
Tend to be faster, tend to be stronger.
I understand. But like those factors all come from the hormones during the development process, correct?
No, not necessarily. No.
I mean, most of them do.
Well, not all of them. So for example, you could try to pump a young girl's body with testosterone at 8 years old, and you can get them stronger. You cannot necessarily get them on par with a biological male at puberty. You cannot. You could try.
Okay, but like,
because there's something in the coding of our genetics.
Right. The coding of our genetics, which is often like controlled by like different like I guess parts of our DNA and also the hormones that are produced that affect the effective coding of how
we're more than endocrinology.
Produced.
It's a big part. Because for example, if you just give a kid testosterone, that doesn't even get them close to becoming a male, or estrogen giving them a female.
Okay.
They might get characteristics that are close to that.
Right. Okay.
But it doesn't. For
but
example,
I mean,
let me,
like, there's no perfect image of like this is what a female looks like. This is what a male looks like. Like we all get our periods at different ages. Some of us like, and also like for example, like there are many circumstances where womanhood is just not one thing, right? It's a multitude of experiences that every single person.
Can you define what womanhood is? That's an interesting question for you.
Well, no, I can't define what womanhood is.
What the fuck?
Stupid.
The reason why is because it's something that's an individual experience for every single person, right? Like my experiences, what I have experienced throughout my life is not going to be the same as another woman who may have grown up in a different environment.
Yeah, that's true. However, if we took 100 women, there are going to be experiences that are pretty fucking universal for all of them. So that would be defined as womanhood because a majority of women experience the same said experiences based on their gender.
Stupid.
That's the problem. These people want to be so inclusive that they're scared to put definitive definitions on biological realities.
We have disagreement, but not clarity. I say that being a woman or womanhood is an objective thing.
Right, but
it's objective outside of one's own opinions or experiences.
So, but are we at the point where we're discussing where this is like not something based on your chromosomes, but something maybe based on a construct?
Well, no, it also can be objectively witnessed in empirical ways, in biological ways, in scientific ways.
Okay, so to clarify, we're still discussing whether womanhood is on chromosomes or not.
If you'd like to discuss that, it's deeper than just chromosomes.
Right, right. I'm just trying to define exactly.
For example, if we look at SPECT scans or brain scans of men and women, 98% of the time, artificial intelligence can tell you which one is the men and which one is the female.
Okay.
So our different parts of our brains fire. So for men, for example, our amygdalas are not as high working as women. You know what amygdala is the threat assessment part.
So obviously, like your birth.
Yes, and that is why women are more socially aware, because since women are the weaker sex physically, they need to be able to be more aware of what the fuck is going on about them. That's why when women meet guys, they get the creeper vibe when they meet a guy when he has strange behaviors. Like a girl will be able to read if a guy has like autism or some kind of mental illness or defect where it will make him more prone to potentially putting them in a dangerous situation. Women have this because they don't have the same capability to physically fight off an attacker, so they need to be able to be in a more defensive position and be able to get away. This is why women are able to read rooms way better than men. If you take a girl into a room, right? You and a girl both go into a room. She's going to be able to look around the room and be like, oh, yep, that couple's together. They're fucking, he's in a friend zone. This dude is a little strange. This guy, like, they'll be able to pick up on these things just from looking at body language. Versus a man, me, I'm 34 years old. It took me decades to figure this stuff out. Like, I'm a pretty socially aware guy. I'm able to look at the room and analyze women, etc., look at body language. But it took me years to figure this out. It was a learned skill set. But if you take an 18-year-old girl, me and her walk in the room, she's probably going to be just as good, if not better than me, at assessing traits of people in the room. That's just a gift that women are given over us guys because of our biological differences. We are stronger. They are more aware to deal with the difference in strength and our capabilities of violence. So they need to be able to be put in a position where they're able to assess that quickly and get out of the situation.
So there's a difference between the concept of what sex is, which is a biological aspect, and what gender is, which is a social construct.
I reject gender completely as a different word. It's really personality.
So that's where the debate is. Yes. The existence of gender.
Gender means personality.
Okay.
I don't doubt that biological men might have feminine
How would you define race on that point?
How would I define race? Well, race is a very difficult topic.
Okay, because I think that it's a really important thing to discuss when it comes to terms of this.
If I draw blood,
is it ethnic lines?
If you have a blood sample of a black individual and a white individual, I can't tell you which one is which. If I have a blood sample of a man and a woman, I can tell you which one is which, just by running very simple elementary blood tests. So, for example, if there was a Hispanic or a white, there is no difference in the genetic coding. There just isn't.
Why is it important that someone's... okay.